So we're starting. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. We're here. Can you hear me well back there? A little louder. I can try to speak up a bit louder. I hope this works. Okay. So we're here today to present the 2013 Curry Stone Design Prize winners. It's really exciting for us to be here in Diligad because somehow we feel at home. Curry Stone started 6 years ago with a clear mission of changing the set of values in the world of design, and we've been trying and struggling to show to all the designers of the world and all of the citizens of the world that there's other set of values besides beauty in design, and that design can actually care for humanitarian issues, can care for issues related to marginalization of communities, to poverty, but also it can care to creating better conditions for living in our cities. And so being here, it's a way, in a way, being at home and sharing this all these ideas with people that already agree with us. It's a way to move forward and to somehow test the different ways in which design can develop. This year is we're presenting now actually 3 new winners, and also, as you probably know, we have a new award that is called Vision Award that this year was given for the first time to Architecture for Humanity. It's been really special for us to give to Architecture for Humanity this prize, because the Vision Award is in a way a prize that doesn't just recognize their work, but it's recognize all of the heritage that they accomplished. And it's in a way to give a new understanding of how design can be a form of influence in humanitarian cases. Today we have here, I really have the pleasure to present 3 of our winners. In a way, each time we are awarding a winner, we are creating a new layer to our palette of design proposals, of design tools that can actually be used to improve living conditions around the world. I think that this year we are extremely glad to have 3 really special design practices here that come from all over the world. We have a group that comes from India, Hunarshala. We have a group that comes from Italy, that is TAM Associati together with the NGO Emergency. And we have a group that comes from Myanmar, that is Proximity Design. So we can really see the really international scope of this prize. And we can really see, and we will see now in the presentation, how each one of these proposals is actually addressing really local problems And not only addressing local problems, but they're finding really local solutions that can be extremely inspiring as an attitude to be applied in other cases. So we think that each winner, in a way, is opening a new world of possibilities, because each one is actually showing how specific issues can actually lead to specific solutions. And this will be inspiring for other cases and other solutions in other localities. So what we are really advocating for is not a big solution that will solve world problems, around inequalities in cities. It won't solve a world problem related to health issues. It won't solve world problems related to poverty, but it will certainly allow to address specific procedures that will, help finding specific local solutions to these issues. So what we are finally aiming to is not a world change, but it's a different understanding of the issues and a way that we will actually slowly build up resiliency on these issues. I would like now really to invite you to listen very carefully to these presentations, because later we'll have a Q&A. And I hope you all have questions for our winners. They're coming from quite far, so you won't have the opportunity to speak with them so often. So I really hope you will actually have many questions, and we'll actually sit all together here and try to understand better these practices all together. The first winner I would like to introduce today is Kiran Vaghela, co-founder of Hunarshala in Bhuj, Gujarat, India. Hunarshala is really, really a unique practice. They have an office of around 70 people, but their office is not only about architecture. In their office, they have experts of all kinds of different forms of knowledge. And actually, what is quite sensational is that they mostly have architects and engineers working with mostly artisans. Hunarshala was facing an amazing catastrophe in 2001 when a huge earthquake struck the region. And instead of just building houses as cheap as they could be, they had to try to find a way to build houses for almost nothing. So in this circumstance, they actually understood that working with local inhabitants, with artisans, was a good way to get them involved directly in constructing their houses, not only using local vernacular knowledge in building construction, but actually developing new and innovative techniques that could use that knowledge, but also make earthquake-safe constructions. So it's always a relation between antique knowledge that is transmitted through centuries and an innovative solution that will allow to apply this knowledge in a contemporary way. So this unique characteristic is actually is the base of the work of Hunarshala, and you'll see through Kira's presentation, actually they applied this knowledge in a number of different projects, and they implemented building up a school and finding holistic solution to build communities in a very complex way. So I would like to give the word to my friend Kiran. And I know with him, I'm also introducing the first 2013 winner of the Curry Stone Design Prize. Kiran. You have to speak very close.
Yeah.
Okay. You could put it here if you want.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I need, like little bit better. Yeah.
Okay. Take it easy.
Yeah. Good afternoon, everybody. After good sandwiches and cookies, the head is little heavy. I will try to make it lighter. Yeah. Yeah. I'm Kiran, as I think it's already introduced by Milano, that I'm representing Hunarshala Foundation. And today I'm sharing with you the work of and journey so far. Hunar means an artistic hand skill, and Sala means school in our language. That's the name of our organization. We are based in India. We are based in India, state Gujarat, and region Kutch. You can see the black part in the map is Kutch. Geographical location makes Kutch region unique. We have extreme climate. It is hot and dry. Tropic of Cancer passes through our region. Kutch is drought-prone, cyclone-prone, earthquake-prone area. In such a challenging condition, diverse traditional community bring life to this region. Animal husbandry, farming, and fishing is a main occupation. I would like to share one incident which has deepened my understanding of development. In a community meeting in a village, Dador, one of our guests have asked questions to them. What are their view on development? Dadu Bhai, one wise old man answer was, I don't have a scholastic answer of development, but before electricity come to our village, we have no fear of darkness. That was his answer. And having electricity to solve problem of darkness is one way of thinking. But not having a fear of darkness is another. There is a lot that modernity has given us, particularly how science is used to build solutions. But many traditional cultures have understood sustainability better. Use less as a first principle. They also provide the spiritual underpinning for the human society. When you give selflessly, you gain. Hunasala strives to bring this modern and traditional culture together to create a social capital. My presentation will take you through the three objectives that we are working on, one by one. The first is respond appropriately towards disaster by providing guidance to the affected community through owner-driven construction approach. Community is involved right from the planning to the design to the implementation, and is hardware aspect of rehabilitation and also software aspect of the rehabilitation. Kutch. Our region struck with a massive earthquake in 2001 on 6.9 Richter scale. 90 seconds was a duration, and it causes 300,000 houses was collapsed. 300 villages was badly affected, with 3 cities also badly affected, and around approximately 15,000 people was killed. And this situation to respond the rehabilitation work, Hunasala Foundation started as a unit of Kutch Nirman Abhiyan, a network organization at that time named Shelter Support and Innovation Cell. With the strong presence and guidance of this organization at root level, and government of Gujarat has declared owner-driven rehabilitation policy. We have participated in rehabilitation work closely with the community and technical expert and the rural expert. Before going into my work, I'd like to share some of the community's work with you. You see on the slide that's a circular structure with a conical roof. It's locally named as a bunga. They call that house is a bunga. It's having an interesting history how community arrived at this design. After great earthquake in 1890, just 200 years back, this region artisans from in this region, artisans from Sindh and the Kutch come together and they found circular structure in plan resist better earthquake. it's a better earthquake resistance structure. And Bunga becomes part of their cultural identity. In 2001 earthquake, most of the Bunga structure survived. It has performed. And in this slide, on your right, you see the one village, the entire village built by Bunga, but the roof is from the thatch to the tile, and the wall is in a stabilized remnant. This was a need of a community. The women from the community, they asked that they, with unstabilized walls and the thatch roof, it requires a regular maintenance, and they want to come out of that drudgery. And we introduced stabilized earth technology, and such 2,200 houses was built in less than 1 year by involving community. On your left, on the top, there's one of the relocation site in Bhuj city. That's the main city in that region. In the down, there is another village nearby Bhuj city. They used local stone and the leaning roof with all earthquake resistance structure features in it. We work in a Bam, Iran earthquake, where the earth was a main construction material. It used to be earth was a main construction material. We demonstrated a structure by using local skill and local material. But what we did is we innovated and on a formwork and we introduced a stabilized render and demonstrated a structure by using local material as a earth and steel, the same steel, how to make a earthquake resistant structure. You see the completed structure in a BAM. We work in a Banda Aceh, Indonesia, where one of the local organization, UPC Uplink, that's an Urban Poor Consortium, Uplink, they invited us to share our experience with them. And when we reached in the Banda Aceh, what we saw, that tsunami has raised off everything. There was nothing left. Even their geography is changed. Where there used to be a paddy field, now is taken over by sea. And the cluster of 26 villages that we have decided to work on, only 20% population was survived. So their social fabric was torn. In such condition, reconstructing a house was not only a solution, but bringing them back to the life was a big challenge. And with UPC Uplink have set up one organization called Ude Basari. That's one apex body of community that involves 26 village community together. They come, they decide, they engage into the future thinking process. And with the village committee and the Ude Basari, they have, in 2 years' time, 3,800 houses was built by using local material and engaging community into their new life through the rehabilitation work. Some of the closer view of kind of house that come up. On the bottom, the stilted house, those houses near the sea coast, was inspired by the traditional Archenese house, was on a stilted. It's a stilted house, yeah. We work in Kashmir, India. There's when a huge earthquake happened in Tangdar Valley. This slide is showing traditional structure, having an understanding of a base isolation. That's a very new way of making an earthquake resistant structure. I'll not go into the detail because time is running out. Government called us to give them design for the interim shelter, because after earthquake in 2 months, Tangdar Valley was expecting a heavy snowfall. If interim shelter is not in a place, then it will lead towards another disaster. And what we suggested that if we, by involving community, we allow community to salvage their wood from the broken house, and they can use this wood to make a interim shelter. What government should do, that they made available the tin sheet for the roofing and some financial assistance, and this policy was declared. In less than 2 months, 24,000 interim shelter was built. If you put a faith on a community, if you give them a right direction, and if you ready to respond what issues they are bringing, community has a power to solve their own problem. This was a big learning that happened in this. The second objective is to understand traditional knowledge and validate them through the research initiative and link it with the contemporary application through the artisans team. We in Kutch having a lots of hand skill available, right from the weaving to the block printing to the pottery and to the wood carving, and it's full of hand skill. Yeah. Now, under this we are running 3 programs. One is an education program, that's an artisan school, in which the school drop out from the community, young boys and girls, they come, and we design a curriculum for them in a way that in a classroom they learn technical drawing, material science, and the basic mathematics. And we offer 2 courses, one in a carpentry, another in a walling system. We also create an opportunity where the young architect students, architect and engineering students, and our artisan school students, they come together on a common platform. They work together for 1 week, and they interact while they're learning from each other. And we have an intention that we can minimize the gap between formal and informal. We have a second program under this objective is a research and development program, and in this we all traditional technology in a contemporary time. If there is no technical properties is in a place, then it won't be accepted by the contemporary application. So what we are doing through the scientific research, we are generating generating this kind of a data made available, and so we are able to link it with the contemporary application. We also, under this program, we also develop by using industrial waste and make a construction systems out of it. Yeah. Third program is Entrepreneur Development Program, under which the artisans, skilled artisans, been trained as an entrepreneur. And there are entrepreneur companies who are, then we link them with the market. And there are lots, there are more than 20 artisans companies are busy in a contemporary applications. Some of the project by them, I'll show you. This is Khamir Craft Park. This is a craft center near Bhuj. The main construction material was a rammed earth, waterland daub, lime plaster, and compressed stabilized earth, and the roofing tile. It's a country tile. It's made by potters. Some of the closer view of the same campus. This campus was designed by Professor Nilkant Chaya. He's a dean in SAPT University, one of the best architecture college in India. And Samesar is a desert resort managed and owned by a community, Horko community. Horko is the name of village in a Bani region. It's a sub-region of Kutch. What we did that right from the designing, we have involved the local artisans from that region, and we have contemporized and reinterpreted Bunga to receive international guests from all over the world. And this resort is running more than 8 years, and it becomes a very popular place in all over the world. Yeah. It's a reception area. There's a lounging area. The women are engaged into the regular maintenance work. This is Hunarshala's office. We are in Hunarshala's office. We have showcased all artisans' work in a one campus. So each structure is built with the different technologies. So those clients or the visitors, they come, they see what kind of the ambience it can be created by using sustainable material. So that's the entrance. There's a project office. Some meeting room is under construction. That's a studio. The design studio is having an attic, and there's on an attic there's a reflection place and library. You see the balcony in front. This is our laboratory building. It's by using China clay. It's China clay waste, and the walls are rammed earth. We have used for the rammed earth China clay waste. You see the column. There's our carpentry workshop. When we deserted the fresh rammed earth and carved out as a banyan tree, and it become a column. Yeah. It's organic farm, one training center for the organic farm. So using thatch as a roofing system and recycled wood. The interiors of the, and we also use some of the stone lying on the site. Our artisans team has a big opportunity from the Gulf. The Abu Dhabi Department of Heritage and Culture, they invite them to for the restoration of four fort in Al-Ain. And 150 people's team. They worked there for 4 years, and two forts. The slide. There's Jahili Fort. There's Moaiji Fort. This Jahili Fort is covered by National Geography. And after this project, most of the artisans who keeps on building house for the rest of the world, they don't have house. They come back, and first they have done is they have built their own house. We work on homes in city. That's a third objective. The work towards environmental sustainable towns and the villages, which promote local management and control, empowerment of a local community, and ensure dignified living for citizens by providing basic housing and services for economically weaker section of the society. Basically, homes in the cities, and we named that program, and we are working to create a model for how slum issue in a city can be addressed sensitively. In this slide, you see the communities are involved in constructing their house by using different construction techniques that developed by the Hunarshela artisans and the Hunarshela team. On your right, by using construction waste, the house is been built by using construction waste. Under this program, we also work for the drinking water facility. We involve community into the planning process. So the community start interacting with the municipality and creating solutions for them. And on bottom, they also involve themselves into the solid waste management of that area. Things we have accomplished in our journey of 10 years. The more than 6,000 artisans are now organized and engaged themselves respectfully in the contemporary market. 50,000 built in a community, built by community in different disasters. More than 30,000 permanent shelter built by using local material and participatory approach. Stabilized construction building code and bamboo construction guideline legitimize this technology in the country. The ODRC, that's Owner-Driven Rehabilitation Consortium, owner-driven approach is in near future to come in a national policy. I'm repeating it again, but I will repeat. A dream you dream alone is only a dream. A dream you dream together is a reality. Thank you. Thank you, everybody who you have heard me. And thanks, Stone Curry Design Prize, that you created an opportunity to share our work on this platform. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Kiran. So we'll go on to our next winner. As you see, part of the Curry Stone Design Prize is not only about design, but it's also about design with a heart. And I think Kiran is a perfect ambassador of this approach. We have another designer with a heart that is coming next, the Curry Stone Design Prize winner, Proximity Design. Proximity is actually not only a design firm, but it's really a development agency that is based in Yangon in Myanmar. Some of you might know Myanmar because it's one of the most left behind, I would say, countries in the world. It had a dictatorship that has been closing the borders for many decades now. And maybe you heard that some years ago there was the former president Aung San Suu Kyi that got the Nobel Prize for peace before being arrested for a decade almost, no? She recently was freed. So in this condition, unfortunately, the population is actually living in a level of isolation, and most of the population is actually living in rural communities. These rural communities are really struggling. And what Proximity Design did is actually they tried to understand a way to empower this community to survive and to do their job better. This wasn't an easy task. And so what Proximity Design did was not only to design solutions, but they actually tried to find ways to help local communities empower themselves by buying products and by entering the possibility of enlarging their market. So there was all a level of strategies that developed, with small infrastructure, developed products, developed feasibility plans, and also developed financial plans to allow to these rural communities to buy their own tools that will help them in their daily practice. So here from Myanmar today, we have Jim Taylor, and I would like to give you the floor.
Thank you very much. And it's delightful to be here. I'm delighted to be here and to talk a little bit about our work in Myanmar. And I chose our theme. Our theme today is about resilience and resiliency in a changing world. And that's certainly a theme that's relevant for our work in a place like Myanmar. And I want to talk a little bit about not to how design can be used to create value and change, but to show you an example, really, because I think most of you here already are convinced that design can create good change. Let me start off with a short two questions. When do you think the photo on the left was taken? Early 1900s. When do you think the photo on the right was taken? 2012. Not much has changed in the villages of Myanmar in the last century. These are places that are very difficult. They lack basic services that you and I all take for granted. And in fact, Myanmar as a country located here in Southeast Asia does have a very difficult history. It's been isolated, as Emilio said, for many, many years. And it's one of the poorest countries in the world, poorer than most countries in Africa. And its decades of neglect have left farmers and people there in very bad shape. And in fact, the World Bank just came out with their annual ratings of most difficult places to do business. And Myanmar out of 189 countries, Myanmar ranks dead last in ease of starting a business. So it's an extreme place in many ways. But we really felt that moving there, we moved there in 2004, and really felt that it was a compelling place to see if design, and in our case, social entrepreneurship, could really make a difference there and could create social change. So our strategy from the very beginning was to focus on rural families, rural communities, because this is, globally, in rural areas, this is the epicenter of extreme poverty, is the small family farm. People who have, this picture, there's a pagoda in the background that dates from the Pew dynasty in 6th century. People have been farming this land for many, many years. And families struggle on these small plots, making $1 or $2 a day. And the question that we really had when we went to Myanmar is, could a social enterprise approach be one that's effective, more effective than traditional aid? I think that one of the foundations of our approach and one of our core beliefs is to treat people as customers rather than the recipients of charity. And I think this is, as we've thought about this and tried to apply this over the last decade, it becomes more of a profound concept to us, because we wanted to really have a different relationship with people, and not one as a patron, but one as a more equal exchange, and affirm people's dignity by giving them choice, and for them to give us feedback whether we, in fact, were providing things of value or not. And I think part of this is about one of the core principles that we found as designers. I said last night at a presentation that I don't come from a design background, but I saw that in our work in Myanmar how the design, the deep respect, and the deep understanding of individuals is really, really, really central. And this was a family we spoke to in Myanmar a number of years ago. They had just bought one of our products, and we were talking about their income increases and how it was helping. And we asked this family what their aspiration for their son was. He was about 11 at the time. And the mother said, we want him to finish school. And I naively said, you're anxious for him to finish high school. And she looked at me sort of indignantly and said, no, we want him to complete university. And this is in a very, very poor community in a remote part of Myanmar. So it was really the design principle of really tapping into people's deep beliefs and their aspirations, not just their need, I think was really, really important to us. I think designers and entrepreneurs share a common trait in that they always look at opportunities. And when we moved to Myanmar, we saw and began to interview and talk to farmers and rural areas. We saw this problem here. People, this problem of irrigation jumped out at us because most small farmers tried to irrigate their crops, and they were using really poor, inefficient methods. And this woman on the right, young girl, is carrying water cans, and both of those weigh about 50 pounds on each side. She made 100 trips in the morning and 100 trips in the afternoon. Really backbreaking work. But of course, anytime you see a problem there, it's always try to find an opportunity in that. And we did by trying to design low-cost irrigation pumps that could reduce the sheer drudgery and inefficiency of delivering water for people's plots. So we began to look at opportunities around the world where there are pumps, and quickly saw that a lot of the pumps just weren't very well designed. So we made the decision early on in our work to invest in a design capability. And so we set up a design lab and put together a design team in Myanmar. And in this picture, the gentleman in the green T-shirt is Ong Koko, is a young, middle-aged guy now, who's trained as an engineer but never got any design training. And then we've paired him up with a woman in the blue shirt, Alyssa Murphy, who's from here in California. She is a graduate master's degree from engineering at Stanford and went through their product design program. And so we put together a team of people who really are investing in design in a place like Myanmar. And so we really felt that it was important to make this investment because I think one of our core beliefs is also that it takes really deep knowledge to tackle the complex problems of poverty. And rather than designing here in San Francisco or someplace else, we really wanted to do our design work there on the ground so we're close to our users. I want to share just 4 quick design insights that we've gained over the years you might find interesting. One is this is a plastic pump that we developed. It's really pretty unusual in the world of pumps. It only costs $17, but it'll perform as well as pumps costing 10 times as much. And we developed that strictly for Myanmar because affordability is really critical. People just in rural areas just don't have a lot of money to invest, and so you have to make things extremely affordable, not just low cost. And so this is an example. We spent about 5 years designing this so we could really take the costs out. And we also focus on looking at services, and another design principle or insight we've gained is that when you do a lot of need finding and you're trying to find sort of what the value proposition or what the utility is for a user, I remember having a conversation with a gentleman a number of years ago, and he just sort of broke it down. He says, what farmers want is we want something that's cheap and practical. You kind of cut right to the chase. That's what we want. And so this is an example of a technique that we're promoting among rice farmers, that it's really simple and convenient. When people have traditional seeds, if they take their seed and put it in a bucket of salt water, the good seed sinks and the blanks and the weeds float, and they skim that off and then get 10% better yields, and that results in about $200 to $400 of increased incomes a year. Something that's simple, low cost, convenient to use, that's what gets adopted. 20,000 farmers have adopted this in the last 2 years. We've also gotten involved, not beyond irrigation, into rural energy. And in this area, there's lots of products in the market, and we found that people in poor villages really value quality. In fact, they value quality in many respects more than people of higher incomes, because it's really critical that if they purchase and invest in a product, that it lasts a long time. And we work with a company called D-Light that makes solar lanterns, and they have a very, very robust product. In fact, you can see it out here in the gallery. And it's so great of a product, you can take it. We demonstrate them in villages. You take them up 30 or 40 feet up a coconut tree, get a gentleman to climb it, and you can throw it off, and it still works. And people love the fact that that it works like that. We have another product that you can drive a car over. And people are just astounded by that, and it's really a great thing of value. They really value quality. And then this is the 4th product I just wanted to highlight. This is a water storage container that's used as a part of drip irrigation system. It holds about 250 gallons. It's made out of a PVC impregnated tarp. And as you can see, the form there is really quite nice. And it took us many years to design this. And during the design process, we had many different prototypes. Functionally, they all did the same thing. They held about 250 gallons of water. But we would line them up as different prototypes, and we would show them to farmers, show them potential users, and see, what do you think of them? And instinctively, everybody always went to this model because they valued the aesthetics. And one woman told me, we want our farm to look nice. When our neighbors come, we want it to look great. So they really value aesthetics. Of course, if you talk to our designers, the design part is probably about 10% of the process. Figuring out how to make something is really difficult, and especially in a place like Myanmar where there's so many constraints. And so our design team works very hard at figuring out how to not just design things, but how to design to make. Of course, we don't think design just applies to products or services. Design also applies to whole ecosystems or systems that you have to develop. There's a lot of places in the world where there's great products or great services, but they haven't figured out how to really get them out to people. And so we had to, in Myanmar, such an extreme place, there was really no distribution system that we could tap to get products to thousands and thousands of villages. So we really had to design a whole distribution channel system so our products could be accessible, not just in a few villages, but across the country. So we operate in about 10,000 villages. And that last, we call it that distribution, that last 9 miles to get from the small towns into villages is really a challenge. So we built out a network that has national reach and provides us access to our products and services. It starts with a network of about 165 small mom-and-pop shops that we recruited to sell our products. And then we saw that that wasn't enough, so we recruited over about 800 agents, village agents. These are often users of ours who become evangelists. They help install products and service them. We also set up village kiosks, and then on the right side, we work with over 1,300 village self-help groups and communities. So it really takes the design of an ecosystem to make these sorts of things work. Let me just wind up by saying that we really have to design for resilience, because ultimately we're judged by what our customers and the communities we have an impact on. Are they satisfied with what we offer and how we design with them together? And we do a lot of surveys, and we ask people how satisfied with their products and what they do with the additional income they get, because our focus is really on creating additional income. And traditionally, the top 3 uses of income are food, school fees, and reinvestment in the farm. And so that's been a consistent thing over the last 9 years. But we also, interestingly enough, have an interesting relationship with our customers. We get fan mail. Now, there's not internet yet and not even phones yet. So once in a while, we'll get a letter in the mail from a user. And let me just briefly read one to you that we got. This person writes, he says, "My foot pump is serial number 4632. He says, "I wish it was serial number 001. And I knew about this thing earlier." He says, "It has helped me turn my crops into gold." He says, "I'm not a paid actor who gets $100 a day to say this." He says, "I'm a real farmer, and if you don't believe me, you can come out to visit me. Thank you." So I think these kinds are indicative of the kinds of relationships that can develop with users. Let me just... just wanted to finish up by talking about the value we created, because we spend a lot of time, or take pretty seriously, the measurement of the value that we create. And so just to highlight, in the past 12 months, we've helped about 1,300 people per day, for a total of almost 500,000 people in the last 12 months. And we're on track to even do that more than that in 2013. And that represents about $52 million in increased incomes for families in just 1 year. So we think it's pretty important to try to do our best to measure impact, as not just talk about it. Let me finish up with a story from this gentleman. We do a lot of demonstrations in villages around the country, and this gentleman was trying out one of the pumps that we had set up, and he was treadling away, and a group of other farmers had gathered around and were watching him, and they were waiting their turn. And this guy kind of was almost like trance-like. He was pumping away, treadling away, and oblivious to what was going on around him. And finally, one of the guys in the group of farmers said, "Hey, it's our turn. Can we get up there and try it too?" And he turned to them and said, "Don't bother me. I'm dreaming." And it turns out that he was a landless person, didn't have any land, landless labor, and he drove a trishaw for a living. That's probably one of the lowest level occupations. And he was dreaming about getting one of these pumps, renting some land, and growing some crops so he could increase the income for his family. And that's what his aspiration was. And so I think as we talk about social impact and social change and can design change, it's really, to me, ultimately about can design change and help people achieve their aspirations, achieve their dreams. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. That was great. Really, really changed by design. So we're going to our next winner, the last for today. We have to wait another year to get the next ones. So the last winners actually come originally from Italy, but they've been working intensively all over the world, especially in Central Africa. This time we decided to award not only a design office, but also it's an Italian NGO that commissioned to them the work. Because the collaboration between TAM Associati, there is a design office, and Emergency, valued actually a result in healthcare that is really outstanding. This collaboration showed how the deep understanding of healthcare in really critical zones, so war-torn zones or areas of extreme poverty, could actually be inflected by a really intelligent design understanding into healthcare facilities that were not only providing healthcare, but also empowering people. And I think that this idea of civil rights is also what is really behind the design of this healthcare. So they're actually thinking that design can bring dignity to people that are really some of the most, that live in some of the most extreme conditions. Sometimes not only for poverty, but also because they come out from really hard psychological traumas caused by war. So it's really an honor here for me today to introduce you to Rossella Miccio, that is the head of the Humanitarian Office for Emergency, to Raul Pantaleo, that is the co-founder of TAM Associati, and also I would like, I don't see them, oh here, to introduce you to Massimo Lepore, that is another co-founder of TAM Associati, and to Laura Kandelberger, that is another fellow for TAM Associati. So to you the mic, I'll run your, oh, sorry. TAM Associati in Emergency.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Rossella, as Emiliano was saying, and first of all, thank you so much to all the people at the Caristone Foundation for thinking about us for this amazing award. I will try to give you a brief idea of what Emergency is. Emergency is an international non-governmental organization that was established in Italy back in 1994 and is now present in several countries, including the United States, and actually our office is here in San Francisco, so it's really a pleasure for us to be here. And our mission since the very beginning was to provide a high standard and free of charge medical and surgical assistance to the victims of war and poverty. And by doing that, we were trying to promote a culture of peace, solidarity, and respect of human rights. Over the past almost 20 years, we have been establishing large and small hospitals and health facilities basically all over the world. And we are treating nearly 6 million people so far. And we are currently running approximately 50 projects in 6 countries, including Italy. Dealing with healthcare, and particularly with hospital care, these are the two major questions for which we had to find an answer when we started our work. So what does building a hospital mean in a war-torn country? And what a hospital should look like in a war-torn country? What we were usually experiencing by surveying the different places were hospitals like this one on the left-hand side in South Sudan that were neglected facilities, places where patients were left unattended most of the time in rusty and filthy beds, like these kids in Cambodia. But above all, the welcome to the patients was given by boards like this one in a hospital in Sierra Leone. There was basically the list of fees that patient had to pay if they wanted to receive medical attention, which was badly needed, of course, but most of the times they didn't have the money to do that. So our hospital, our approach is actually totally different. We do believe that healthcare is a basic human right, and therefore it has to be provided for free in these places to all these people in a dignified way. That means a high standard with very good clinical results, but also in a proper environment. Because we do believe that the beauty, the landscaping, the context, the care also shown by the staff and the personnel of the hospital is a big part of the healing process. So it's part of the overall treatment. This, for example, is our hospital in Kabul that was established back in 2000. And the first time I was there in 2002, the local engineer, Fizullah, who built the hospital actually, showed me around and told me, Rossella, you will see tomorrow is a visiting day, and this hospital will be packed full of kids, children, because this is the only place safe and clean for the children of Kabul to go playing. And for me, I mean, of course, coming from Italy was quite a shock because I would have never thought to bring a child to play in a hospital. But then I realized that if you go in a war-torn country, perhaps building a health facility means something more than just providing care, means something that can give back. It's an oasis where people can get back a bit of their dignity. And particularly when it comes to children, unfortunately, in our war surgical centers, almost more than 30% of our patients are children. So we've always tried to pay a lot of attention in the way we were designing the facilities to have wards, places where they could, their wounds would be healed, but where they could also find places where they could get back a bit of their carefree childhood that war had taken away from their lives. And all these ideas and principles, I would say, that are best embodied in the project of the Salam Center for Cardiac Surgery that started in 2004 and marks also the beginning of our long-lasting and almost 10 years and very fruitful cooperation with TAM Associati. The Salam Center for Cardiac Surgery is based in Khartoum, the capital of Sudan, and Salam means peace in Arabic. That's the local language spoken in Sudan, because we wanted this hospital to be really an oasis of peace, and it provides also services to patients coming from other countries, so really a place where people could exchange their lives and their experiences. And still today, it started activities in 2007. It is the only center of excellence completely free of charge in cardiac surgery in the entire continent. So, I mean, the challenge was really a huge one, starting from the location. As you can see, this is the area south of Khartoum where the hospital is located. The area is a big piece of desert, so it was not easy to find the right land, but we were persistent enough, I would say, to get this beautiful piece of land, and the government of Khartoum state bought it for us and donated to build the hospital. So since the very beginning, there was a lot of participation from the local community. to the project. The construction of the hospital took almost 2 years, and of course it was a continuous flow of unexpected events. So really making plans when building a hospital is, is useful, but you need a lot of flexibility and a lot of creativity to face the daily life. So like this is just an example. On the left-hand side, you see that the beginning of the concrete casting of the major hospital building, and of course everything happened that day. The pump got broken, the replacement got broken, so they had to go on till late at night in order not to spoil the job. Together, local and international staff to finish the job, and this is just one of the examples that showed how important was the teamwork at the hospital, national and international. And I'm very glad to say that most of the staff that worked with us in building the hospital is still with us now, and it's the core of our maintenance team of the center. But also from people that had a different background. Here on the left-hand side, you can see Roberto, that was our construction site manager, and in the black T-shirt is Dr. Strada, is a surgeon and the founder of Emergency. So during all the process, there was always this exchange between all the team members. Here they are measuring just the proper size of the entrance door to the intensive care unit. And I think that this is also the key of the success of our relationship with TAM Associati. I would say that after 10 years, we can say that it has never been just a normal relation between a client and a consultant firm, but it has always been a relationship between partners that were contributing to the same goal, sharing the same philosophy and the same principles. So this, I think, has made the difference in this partnership, particularly when it comes to the objective of our work, which was to have a center that would perform and provide the highest clinical standards comparable to what we have here, because we do believe that every individual is equal in dignity and rights, and therefore we wanted to provide for the people in Africa the same standard of care that we would consider appropriate for ourselves. And this is one of our 3 theaters, and as you can see, it looks exactly like any of the theaters that you can find here in Europe. At the same time, trying to take into consideration also what was the local context. So we were all excited when Raul, the architect, came up with this idea of using what you see here are the traditional frames for the Sudanese beds since many centuries, that it's called Dangareb, and they've been transformed into the panels that are providing shadow to the inner garden of the Salam Center. Beautiful, I would also say. And the final result was that this center has really become a borderless place. We were thinking that it could provide services to patients from Sudan and the neighboring countries. After 6 years, we have had patients from 24 countries now, beyond Africa as well. Here you can see patients from Iraq, Sierra Leone, Cambodia, Ethiopia, and Eritrea together. So even countries that are, let's say, at war or whose relationship are not fantastic, they send patients there, and that's really what this hospital was built for, I would say, for the patients and also for the local authorities of these countries, because this Salam Center has been setting a model for possible cooperation in that area. And we do believe that this is perhaps a narrow path that we want to follow in the coming years, but the right one if we want really to practice and promote the right to healthcare in Africa. The Salam Center was just the beginning of this journey, a journey of practice, daily practice of basic human rights, and I would like to leave the floor to Raul now to tell you a bit more about this story. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Rossella.
So thank you. Just a few words about our mission as TAM Associati. TAM Associati is an Italian-based group. It's based in Venice, and it's experiencing a social design issue. We have been doing this kind of work since 15 years, experimenting in international cooperation, social housing, public spaces, participatory processes. So somehow when we met, emergency has been part of the process of our developing this idea of social engaged design. As Rossella was saying, now it's almost 10 years that we have been collaborating with Emergency. It started from Sudan, then we went on in Central Africa, in Darfur, when we built a clinic in 2010, then Sierra Leone, and then Port Sudan, and finally we are working in Italy. What I would like to show you today is somehow this idea, how we translated this idea of value in architecture. So how it has been possible for us being part of this process that Rossella was mentioning, this participatory process. I always love to call it a medieval site, how we translated in a real building. This is a first example. It's nearby the Salam Center. We have to allocate almost 65 person of the international staff, and we have to design the housing for them because of security reasons. We have to move them from center of Khartoum to close to the hospital, and we had really short time and a really short budget, and very little budget. And so the idea came that we thought it could be useful to use the container we shipped in Sudan with all the medical equipment and trying to transform the container in housing for the doctors. The first problem we faced has been, as you can see, the container were completely rusted, destroyed. So this, the skill capacity of the local workers is very low. So it has been a big problem to transform this destroyed container in a house. The second problem was that we are working in sub-Saharan area, so very high temperature, and the main problem was how to face this temperature using container. So we work on this idea of double shell that has been somehow the idea we have been working for years in desert area. So to protect the container from the direct ray of the sun. And so this has been a system that we made a double roofing bamboo frame to protect the container. The third problem was the doctors, that they were not very happy to move to live in container, and so because they thought it was not fair in that temperature to live in the container. So that was our big part, and the result has been this: that the container compound is built around this fantastic garden of mango. That so we settled our compound starting from nature, and you see this is the framing system of the bamboo, and this is the cafeteria that's facing the Nile River. This is as you remember the first picture. These are the container that we used for the cafeteria. This the inside. So somehow we succeeded in doing a very comfortable place, saving a lot of money because the cost of this compound has been 50% lower than the cost of an ordinary house built in Sudan. So this is a first example of reusing all destroyed material and make a good place. Story number 2: we are again nearby the Salam Center. We were finishing the construction of the hospital, and Gino Strada, the chief of emergency, asked us to design an object that could be a symbol of peace for the hospital. Sudan has been suffering of religious war for many years because of the war between South and North, or Muslim and Christian and animist. So we want to design a place that somehow could represent a sort of place for reconciliation of all this conflict. So we designed this very small object that is prayer and meditation pavilion. We cancel all the religious symbol, but we try to interpret all the religion that were in that area in one space, so everybody could feel comfortable to go there and pray in that building. So this has been the translation of a will, of a dream of peace into a building. Story number 3, how to build a comfortable place. As you can imagine, if you see this picture, this is the Habub, is the desert storm. So we faced this nightmare since the beginning, because as you can imagine, working for a heart center facing this problem of dust, it was just a nightmare for us every night. So we developed this idea that then starting from the Salam Center, and what I'm going to show now is how the idea developed in the project in Darfur. So how to use a sort of climatization and filtering of the air, starting from the traditional way of treating the air in North in Iran and in Egypt through the Bajir. The Bajir are this wind tower on the left. So the idea has been to somehow reinterpret this traditional way of treating the air and then implementing this idea with the capacity of a building of being a refreshing machine of the whole building together. So the air is catch from the wind tower and is brought in the basement. Then there's a sand trap that basically is depositing the sand on the floor, and then is treated with this machine that you see there on the right, that is an industrial water cooler. Then the air is inflated in the building. So through this channel that are down below the building. So as you can see from all the arrows, the building in itself, because it's always working on this idea of cavity, is becoming a sort of ventilating system. So in this way, we succeeded in refreshing and changing of the air of the whole building, using 70% less of the electricity we would use for an ordinary system. But talking of resilience, this is the interesting thing, that this system works also in absence of electricity, because it's based on this idea of the traditional wind tower. And as you can see, that here we are in Darfur, the wind tower becomes a sort of landmark, becomes a sort of element that the building is confronting with the surrounding. Here you see the confrontation between the wind tower and the minaret of the mosque that's nearby. So somehow this has been a sort of way of reinterpreting the tradition, and also making a sort of element that can become a sort of language for the building. Story number 4, this is the last building we realized in Sudan. Here we are in Port Sudan, in a very neglected area where the local authority concentrate all the refugees that were gathering in Port Sudan after all the war of North and South Sudan. So we have to design this pediatric clinic there, and the first thing we thought it was that the idea that this should be something more. So when we first cleaned the land to preparing the site, we realized that all the children gathered together there and playing football. So we thought that this could be an idea how to do something more than just building a clinic. So the idea has been, we proposed to Emergency to design a clinic that had something more, that had a garden, that had a playground. And so here we started of recycling the water. So you see the system for recycling the water. And so this became the only place in that whole area where there are trees, where there's grass. So this has become a sort of a place for a community to gather together that is more than just a pediatric clinic. Here you have other pictures. So just finishing, I think that in my experience, this has somehow I rediscovered my my work as an architect, because translating value in architecture means that architecture is becoming sort of face of what is behind the utopia that is behind. And I think I hope these are a good example of how this utopia can become building in stone. Thank you very much.
So I would like to call all the Curtis Stone Design winners here on the stage. Again, bravi. I mean, I think the work was amazing. I just noticed now how it's by coincidence. Please, please. All of us? Yes, all of you. It's 4 chairs. Here. So somehow by coincidence, we're addressing 3 different scales. The Hunarshala is actually working much more on an urban level. We have a TAM associated with emergency that are doing really architectural objects, and a proximity that is really designing objects and systems actually that come with them. I think that it's really amazing how seeing these 3 presentations together, you can see how these works are completely different, but they all address similar issues that are really based on the understanding of human dignity through design. And actually, it's quite interesting to see how this is inflected in really completely different conditions. So in the specific case of Myanmar, of India, and then specific cases of bringing healthcare to Africa. I just, unfortunately, we don't have a huge amount of time. So I just wanted to ask if some of you had any question that you want to address to any of our winners. Otherwise, I'll just go on and converse with them for a few more minutes. Is there any question from the floor? I was quite interested. Well, what do you think about it? I'll start with the first one. I was quite fascinated to see this last presentation, Raul, because I know that having worked in some cases sometimes in Africa, I know that the conditions are really extreme, and that sometimes one of the problems that you really face is the understanding of how to build things with extremely poor resources, and with the need to build somehow local knowledge to build these things. Can you actually tell us how do you approach this problem? I mean, when you go there, how do you in fact start building local capacities to build what you are thinking, and how are you inspired by these local capacities in terms of how is your design inflected by these possibilities? I think you turn it on here.
Yeah, well, the approach I think, is very pragmatic. We arrive in a place, we go there and try to breathe the air of that land and try to understand what are the peculiarity of that place. And so we don't have an idea when we arrive in a place to design a hospital, so we just go there and understand what is available. So, for instance, in the 2 last project in Port Sudan and in Niala, we had the problem of making the ceiling, and we want to make solid ceiling because of the massive of the building. So we use this traditional way of making the roofing with bricks. So we just adopt that way of doing, and we design the building around this idea. So there is not a secret, it's just a very pragmatic approach. You go there and see what's available, and then you just design with what is available there. It's very simple, it's very basic, and it's so natural.
How long did you stay in Khartoum before actually designing the Salam Center?
Well, the design is not something that starts and it ends. I always say the last drawing is the one that's built. So it's a sort of ongoing process, and also the idea that the drawing is something that is following also the construction and the accident you find in the construction. So I think this also is part of the teamwork. The site manager, first of all, is a good friend because we spend a lot of time together. And so there is a sort of proximity in doing the things. And also the site manager, the Sudanese site manager, is a good friend. So the development of the project starts just from this idea of, I go again on this issue of a medieval site. So there is a group of persons that are trying to develop an idea and develop it in a building.
And if I'm not mistaken, also you have a specific way of working with the local workers, right? Or they are. Yeah, there's another mic there.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah. I mean, the final objective for emergency is to build facilities that then will stay in the country. So to build also local capacity, not just to provide health services, but also to build local capacity. And when it comes to a hospital, it means really a broad spectrum of different skills, starting from doctors and nurses, but also the maintenance team or the cleaners, because their work is as important as the one of the doctors to have a clean hospital. So as I was saying before, most of the staff that has been involved with us in the construction is still with us now. 6 years later, and they are the core of our maintenance team, so to make sure that the facility is continuously maintained to be effective in the long term. So, and with most of them, I mean, they really started from scratches, so they've been really learning everything, and it was an exchange always of let's say, Western expertise and local expertise that mix together. So,
well, this brings me a bit to a question that I would like to ask actually to Kieran, because in a way, this dialogue between artisanal knowledge and a more technical understanding is actually really part of your of the work of Hunarshalla. And when I was there in Bruges to visit your office, that is amazing, I was really struck by visiting the laboratory. The laboratory has a full wall of little recipients with all kinds of tests of soil, of dirt. And as you presented also, you're using a lot of waste material. So you're using leftover wood taken from shipwreck. You're using leftover China clay material. So, I mean, there's a great inventiveness in this process. Can you maybe, explain us a bit better how you get to these inventions? Are you testing on the ground things? Are you finding inspiration in a dialogue with the artisans? How do you find these inventions somehow? It's on.
It's a very nice question. You touched the heart. The answer that Rahul is already given. You breathe the air. When you are breathing the air, and with that breath, you have some design problem in your mind, whether it will be developing a material or designing a space. It's the same. And if you take a breathe at the right place, it gives you a direction. And it's not an individual process that I'm explaining. And you share it. If some idea that I'm talking about now, culture of the culture that we are working in, created in a Hunarshalla. Anybody can come with an idea. They share it. They put it on the ground, and everybody reflects on it. And there is a total freedom to try it out. Yeah. And one rule, or we have a very weird rule, that everybody can do mistake. And each mistake, they should bring on the floor. That's the work culture that we have. And I think if you see around, you see the resources. Yeah. And when we are talking about sustainability, for certain economical society, then we are always talking about affordability. Mm-hmm. Yeah, these two terms is been interpreted in many ways, but I'm making it very specific that when you have money as a resource, very very limited, and economically we put it a label of economically weaker. But the resources around, if you look at it in a different way, it's become a major resources. In a Kanla is a major port in our on our coast. On that port, India is importing wood from all over the world. So, though Kutch is a dry, arid area, we have hundreds and hundreds of sawmills near that port. And they are sowing logs and tons of the logs, and they are creating lots of wooden waste around. And one day, with artisans, we go purchase some wood, and then we some artisan has lots of wastage is available here. Mm-hmm. Then on the spot, we have discussed what are the possibility.
Of course.
Yeah. And it was very spontaneous. And then we come to initially how we make it assemble and make a door frame. That was started with that, and eventually it was developed further as an intermediate floor and a floorboard. That I think each in a design unit you have a intermediate floor with a wooden. That was developed on this after this idea.
Yes.
So basically, these are 2-3 reels. This I'm talking about the culture of working. Yeah. That there is a freedom to do a mistake, but only rule that you have to follow that whatever mistake you do, bring it on a floor. Yeah. So that's the way we are working, and I think, yeah, and. When you gather, it's your all energy synergize. That takes you to the totally different plane.
Yes, of course.
That creates such a energy. I'm feeling it right now. Yeah, such an energy that has capacity to take you to the totally different ground. And I don't know whether I have given your answer.
Yes, absolutely. So, unfortunately, we're running out of time. If there's one very urgent question, please speak it now. Do you want? I'll give you the mic. Sorry.
I thought I'd just ask Jim the same question, because it seems like you've hit on a really deep theme here that actually is so relevant to everyone, the Curry Stone Design Prize, which is it's that connection and it's the understanding of the local culture that, I mean, I know that proximity is named for that actual reason, proximity. So I thought maybe, Jim, you could add to that as well to talk a bit more about the true integration of what's on the ground and what you're trying to achieve.
Very briefly, yeah. Yeah, but I think there is certainly an intangible element of that when you're on location and you're interacting with people and there's a magic that can happen. I think there's also a science behind it as well, as there's design methodologies of really doing deep user interviews and conversations about prototyping techniques that really elicit deep understanding of what people's problems they're confronting or solutions. I think there's lots of methodologies from design that can help structure that goes along with the mysterious things that do happen, the serendipity as well. So I think it's a combination.
Well, thank you, Jim. We have to close it now, but our winners will be here for a few more hours. So please go to them, ask them questions, and exchange with them. I think they're also very curious to hear from you, and I know that there's a lot of designers here that have amazing, similar experiences. I would like to remind you just two things. First, outside you'll find these posters with the description of our 2013 winners. They're for free, so just feel free to grab them. Second thing, we have a new website designed by Pentagram that is really powerful and has all the videos on our new winners and all the past winners. So we are collected by now 23 stories, 23 narratives of really specific local design situation in which we're seeing that design is making change. I think it's really interesting what we're discussing now, because we're seeing actually more and more how all our winners are not simply considering design as a tool for change, but they're considering design as a tool for dialogue. So it becomes a way in which you discuss with local community, you understand what are the conditions, and those very conditions are inflecting a much better design because it's specific to those conditions. So I think that's really the essence of the impact design. Please tweet us, please share on Facebook this information and these videos, and please spread the voice. Thank you very much, and I'll see you hopefully next year.